Singapore education landscape offers a wide variety of different schools for families to choose from. So today we're just going to be exploring all these options that are available. Okay, so basically the education system in Singapore is divided into two main categories. We have the national or the local education system. This education system is run by the Ministry of Education in Singapore, and traditionally it's very difficult for foreign students to get access to the system. It's a complicated admissions process, and there is a mandatory maths and English assessment which the students need to perform relatively well in order to get admission. On the other side, we have the international school system. Now, the international school system is specifically developed for foreigners coming into Singapore. So the admission process is relatively simple and can be done without families actually needing to be in Singapore at the point of application. And also, the international schools offer quite a wide variety of curriculum for families to choose from. So families can really find exactly what they're looking for, whether it be an education system that's aligned with their education system back home, or if you're rather looking for a more international approach, that can also be found. So the benefits of the international school in Singapore are listed on this slide. In summary, we have the academic results that Singapore international schools achieve every year are substantially higher than the world average. So that speaks to the quality of the international schools in Singapore. The student population within the schools is also diverse. This means that we have students from all over the world, which can sometimes, like an example of that would be like 15 different countries represented within a class of 24 students, which really gives students an international school experience. There's also a rich selection of different curriculums available in Singapore, as well as to about 250 different sports, music, and art programs. The schools also integrate travel opportunities within Southeast Asia and all over the world. There are also boarding options available for families or for students that are in Singapore. So this infographic really speaks to the diversity of the education landscape in Singapore. There are over 1,000 private education providers with over 50 curriculums. So when we say it really gives families the option to choose a curricula which is best suited for their child, Singapore gives you that flexibility. There's also a large number of different language programs, a high degree of student diversity, and a rich extracurricular activity program in the form of arts and music. This slide just covers some of the international schools in Singapore. Like we said, there are over 1,000 listed, but over here are some of the larger the schools that represent a large number of student populations. But that just gives you an idea of the amount of choice that is available for families. In terms of curricular options, there are two main different kinds of curricular options. You can either choose to enroll at a school with international programs. So schools with international programs would generally adopt an international curriculum, and then they would also have a diverse student population, which would basically obviously be made up with students from all over the world. On the other side, we've got international schools that are aligned with national or local programs. So this would be for families that are perhaps coming to Singapore on a short-term assignment and would want to limit the amounts of disruption. So for instance, if you're coming from the UK, you could sign up with a school that is aligned with the UK curriculum or similar to a number of other countries. So it would basically be for less change in terms of moving from your country into Singapore. So like we said, there is a number of different sports, music, and art programs. So that really gives children the opportunity to explore their capabilities and strengths across the range of different activities. In terms of language options in the international schools in Singapore, there really are a diverse number of programs that families can choose from. Like first languages, students can opt to study in English, French, German, Korean, or Japanese. Second language, there are a large number of second language options, and actually what we find in international schools that are on the island is that second language is a large part of the program, with students studying their second language almost on a daily basis. Another strength of international schools in Singapore is the English language program for non-native English speakers. So this is for students who are perhaps coming from a country or from a school where the first language is not English. The schools in Singapore provide really robust programs to help support these students in order to get their English up to like the required academic level. And then lastly, we also have a number of really good bilingual programs. So options include English and Mandarin, where students can be exposed to up to like 50% Mandarin and 50% English per day, or even more Mandarin than English for younger students. And then also there there are bilingual English-French programs as well. So the diverse amount of language options for families in Singapore really helps you choose, it gives you as a family the option of choosing a language program that's best suited for your family and your overall academic goals. Student diversity. So some schools in Singapore have upwards of 100 nationalities represented within one school. So then that obviously translates to a really rich learning environment in the classroom. So all these students will bring their experiences from back home. The schools integrate a large range of cultural celebrations. So the students are really getting a real international school experience in Singapore. So in terms of the academic results, on this slide we are specifically looking at the IB diploma results. So the average in Singapore is 84%, whereas if we look at the worldwide average, it's 68%. So yeah, obviously the quality in terms of like academic results is also available in Singapore. If we look at the cost of education in Singapore, we look at anywhere between about 20 and 40,000 Sing dollars per annum. This would obviously range according to the resources that the schools make available. And also this slide does not include any upfront costs which families would pay in terms of confirming their enrollments. Because of the diverse range of schools that are available for families, we often find that families are quite overwhelmed in terms of finding the best fit school for their family. There isn't one best school in Singapore. There are a number of different schools, and I think the difficulty comes in finding the school that best fits your family's requirements. In terms of issues that we've discussed earlier, languages, curriculum, fee structures, like the structured versus discovery-based learning, boarding school, all these components make the schooling decision relatively complicated. And this is where EdSG School Search service becomes helpful for families. So our service includes an education consultation, which will provide you with a broad overview of the Singapore education landscape, as well as a comprehensive needs analysis in terms of understanding exactly what it is that you and your family require in terms of schooling while you are in Singapore. We'll also work with you to make sure that we answer all the questions that you have in terms of settling your child in Singapore and making the best in terms of your time in the country. We will then, after our needs analysis, we'll work with your family in terms of developing your shortlist of schools. So in general, the shortlist of schools is anywhere between 3 or 4 international schools which meet your family's requirements. We'll provide you with a comprehensive overview of each of these schools, as well as virtual campus tours to give you an idea of what the school has from a facility point of view. We can then also accommodate both virtual and physical school visits. So during COVID, a lot of the schools developed really comprehensive virtual visits. So we can obviously schedule those for you, which if you're not able to travel to Singapore makes really convenient. Alternatively, we can also arrange physical visits for you. Following the school visits, we will then assist you in terms of your application. So the application for international schools in Singapore is relatively simple. However, we can provide you with overall guidance and recommendation in terms of the application process. 5 out of 5 rating on Google. So in terms of the feedback that we're getting from our customers, they are really appreciative of our service. So you're welcome to go take a look at the rest of those if they are of interest to you. Yes, so that is the overview of education in Singapore.